Guys, Seth played in Portland last season. For more, let's welcome in our NBA front office insider, Amin Elhassan. Amin, what do you think of Seth Curry heading to the Mavs?
It's a great deal for him, first of all, nice money in the bank, but also the Mavs, if you're building a Luka Doncic-centric world, you want to surround him with shooters. He's an excellent passer, excellent pick-and-roll player, and what Seth Curry does is, beyond being a tremendous shooter, obviously, he does a little combo guard stuff, as we're looking at some of the highlights right here. He can run a pick-and-roll, he can do some things off the dribble as a secondary playmaker, and that's going to come in very handy for the Dallas Mavericks.
All right, let's talk about the Eastern Conference for a second. How do all the moves we've seen so far in free agency impact the balance of power that's now in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, it's funny, Jay. Everything changed on the flip of a dime last night. I think you got to start with, obviously, the Brooklyn Nets. There may not be championship contenders next year, but as far as setting themselves up for the next 4 years, it's hard to argue that they are the big bully on the block in the Eastern Conference with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. By the way, a very appreciated pickup in Garrett Temple, a really solid pro, the kind of vet that you need. And remember, this isn't them joining a team that had nobody on it. The Brooklyn Nets already were a playoff team with some very good players: Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen. So those additions are going to be big time for them over the next 4 years. But I tell you, the Philadelphia 76ers really rebounded. After losing J.J. Redick, after losing Jimmy Butler, it started to look touch and go there, but they kept Tobias Harris, who's going to be able to flourish in a bigger role there, and Al Horford. Man, what can you say about Al Horford? In the last couple of years, the big bully for Philadelphia, people say it's the Boston Celtics. No, it's Al Horford, the guy who's been able to guard Embiid one-on-one and give them fits on the other end. And so what did they do? They recruited the big bully off of Boston, and they got him on their team. I really like what Philadelphia did. And then finally, Indiana. Man, Malcolm Brogdon, Victor Oladipo, that might be the best defensive backcourt in the NBA.
Let me ask you a question about Philly for a second, because you brought them up. How does this current roster, the one they just formed, compare to last season's roster, which was really good?
Well, obviously, talent-wise, it's not the same when you had Butler and Harris as your third and fourth best players. That's pretty stacked. But, Jay, as you know, it's not fantasy basketball. It's not on paper. Those guys have to fit. There has to be chemistry. And more importantly, someone has to sacrifice. Tobias Harris, as a fourth option, basically was a spot-up guy. He's better than that. And in this situation now, he'll be able to prove that. He'll be able to do more offensively for them, more what he did with the Clippers and more what he did with the Pistons. Josh Richardson, as we're looking at him right now, excellent 3-and-D player. He was probably playing above his head in Miami because they didn't have enough talent. Now he gets to play a role that's more suited to him. And then going back to Al Horford, just a smart, cerebral player, the most consistent part of Boston's success over the last 3 years. It's not Kyrie, it's not Jaylen Brown, not Jason Tatum, it's Al Horford, and that's huge for the Sixers.
Before I let you get out of here, we just heard Kemba Walker say a minute ago that he wanted to give himself the, quote, best opportunity to make a run in the playoffs. Again, the Celtics lost Horford, they lost Kyrie and Terry Rozier. So where does Boston currently stack up in the East?
Well, Kemba Walker definitely was a great pickup, especially losing Kyrie. I don't know, Jay, because you lose Horford, as I just said all those platitudes about him a second ago. But also, Marcus Morris is a free agent. Daniel Tice is a restricted free agent. Aaron Baines got traded away. So where are the bigs for the Boston Celtics? And where are the bigs that they can go out and get? Robin Lopez agreed to a deal in Milwaukee. Very quickly, the bigs are coming off the market. And so while I like Boston, I got to put them behind Milwaukee. I got to put them behind Philadelphia. We got to see what happens to Kawhi in Toronto, and I got to put them behind Indiana at this point even.
Okay. Last season, Kemba averaged a career-high 25.6 points a game. You can see more of a mean on The Jump, 3 p.m. Eastern, here on ESPN2. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks.
Let's get back to the team of the moment, the Nets, who just picked up KD and Kyrie. Stefano Fasaro joins us now from Brooklyn. So, Stefano, across the East River in Manhattan, Knicks fans, they're downcast, they're angry. What sense do you have of how big this news is where you are there in Brooklyn?
It's pretty interesting. It really is a tale of the two boroughs. Emotions running in completely opposite directions in Brooklyn versus Manhattan. I came over here to Brooklyn yesterday just after the initial free agency rush, right when it was confirmed that KD and Kyrie would be committing to the Brooklyn Nets. And I did see a lot of cars driving by with Brooklyn Nets flags here in Brooklyn, which is not really a common occurrence here as far as what some of the locals here tell me. There was a group of fans just outside the Barclays Center with Nets jerseys, celebrating, taking selfies, had KD and Kyrie to the Nets signs. So clearly it is really exciting here. This is a team that has always played second fiddle to the New York Knicks, even though the Knicks have been largely irrelevant for many years now. And I also did speak to one of Kevin Durant's newest teammates, and that's Spencer Dinwiddie. He's extremely excited about what the Nets are doing as they prepare for the upcoming few seasons after a playoff season last year. And he felt the need to also troll those Knicks fans on Twitter, and he gave him this tweet with Elmo, really calling them out, knowing that now they are the kings of New York as far as basketball is concerned. Everybody in Brooklyn's pretty excited. We're going to see a little bit more of this and more excitement moving forward in the next couple of days here in Brooklyn.
Yeah, with Stefano, we always talk about New York, the battle for the back pages in the tabloids. I say right now the Nets have won that battle, and they are the team in the 5 boroughs right now. Stefano Fasaro giving us the very latest there from Brooklyn.
David, after the